Thank you. I was muted that whole time. I'm always doing that. It's tricky running the stream when, yeah, you don't have like the back end support. So thank you. It's helpful to have people in the chat tuning in for that. But yes, my name is Jenny Carty. I am a science educator and Kopernik's live stream astronomer here at Kopernik Observatory and Science Center. And today we're viewing a live view of the sun here at Kopernik from our C-Star S50. It's a brilliant telescope that maybe we'll do a video on at some point. It's a really nice piece of kit. It's an electronically assisted astronomy, or EAA, telescope, and it's great for engaging with the public. It's great for solar viewing. It comes with a solar filter, so that's what we're doing right now. And it maintains its center view of the object very nicely. So that's what we're using today. And that was kind of what brought on this impromptu live stream, is I wanted to enjoy these nice views of the sun while we're in these nice sunny skies. It's nice weather. It's about getting close to 60 degrees Fahrenheit at Kopernik. Maybe we can step outside too and I can show you the telescope. I just have the stream running on my laptop at the moment, but there's no reason I can't bring it out with its camera and just show you quick what telescope is out there looking at the sun. So this is kind of a Q&A session too, so if you have questions about the solar eclipse, any curiosities that you have, that's what I'm here to answer. Feel free to post any comments or questions in the chat. I do have some slides that we can go through as well. It takes us through the solar eclipse in general. There is a recording of our first solar eclipse presentation under Kopernik's March to the Eclipse program. That's a whole bunch of events leading up to the eclipse from March 1st to April 8th. So we've got some big plans in store for the day of the eclipse and our Friday night programs as well, leading up to it. So yeah, you can explore those on our website, Kopernik.org. This week for Friday, we're going to Seth McGowan, the president of the Adirondack Sky Center and Observatory, is going to present on the total solar eclipse that will be happening in the Adirondacks in New York. So that'll be very exciting to hear from him and to hear from a location that is expecting totality, that has been planning around it. Here we won't get totality, unfortunately, as much as we'd like to, but we will have a 97% partial solar eclipse, which looks something like, let me demo it for you with my fake moon. Here's a preview with our live sun, bringing the moon in, and the 97% solar eclipse will look something like that. Almost total coverage of the sun, but not quite enough. Still a sliver of a crescent left that will make it so we can't experience the true totality, which is kind of displayed up at the top of the screen here. You see our model for the eclipse in the stages, just starting with a regular sunny day and progressing to that point of totality. So we're marching to that point. Kopernik will be offering on-site observing for the eclipse on the day of, and it will also let me remove that because I don't want anyone thinking that it's a real image of the eclipse right now. It's not. It's just a model. This is the real sun, though. But yeah, we will have an observing session here, and I will be on the road with our eclipse science team to go seek out totality, and we'll be doing a live stream on that as well. So lots in store here at Kopernik. Let me check into the chat and see if there's anything there yet. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but Kier, asks, do we know the timing of the eclipse? I know the date, but not the specific timing. So this is a great opportunity to switch over to just a quick view of my screen. I'll share my screen so that you can see an infinite view of the OBS live streaming software I use. We're not going to look at that too much. We're just going to jump into, actually, oh, I lost my tab. Bear with me a sec. I'll go prep this first, and then we'll go back to the live view of the sun, and I'm going to go to a website called timeanddate.com that has a really nice time and date, really nice setup for searching for eclipses, where they are and when they're happening. Okay, let's switch back over so you can see that. Back to this one. Okay, there's our infinite view. All right, so yeah, timeanddate.com. If you just do search time and date eclipse, the first page that comes up will look like this. You can search for all the eclipses coming up, and where they give you nice maps of what they'll look like. So there's a penumbral lunar eclipse happening on March 24th into the 25th. We will technically see that one here. It is an early morning eclipse for us, and while it is a deep penumbral, it's not going to, like, penumbral lunar eclipses usually aren't that exciting. Beyond just like a little bit of dimming on the surface of the moon, you're not going to get the red moon or anything with this one. But that is upcoming. It's kind of neat that we're getting that lunar eclipse before the total eclipse. There is a partial lunar eclipse coming up in September of 2024, so that's neat too. But we're interested in this one, the April 8th. And we're interested in exploring both where it's going to be in general, and then we'll specify and look at times for our location, and that'll give you a good idea as to what you can expect on the day of for your location. So let's go down just to the eclipse map. So here is a look at the path of the eclipse for both total, which is this very narrow band in here with the center line marked out as well. That is the total eclipse. Then the next band beyond is going to be less than 100% range, so 90 to 100 to 99% approximately. And you can see its localization. So it stretches all the way out here to a very minimal partial eclipse and then to totality. This map is good, and it is useful just to get a general sense. I also really like this map. This one. I'm going to use some of my slides from our first presentation because they're very relevant here. This is the NASA Solar Eclipse 2024 map, and it shows you the path of totality, which is starting in Mexico. This is the shadow of the moon over time, starting in Mexico, moving through the States, and then out into Canada. So that is our path of 100% eclipse. And if you can, it's where you want to be on April 8th, because that will give you the solar corona, which is among the most exciting parts of solar eclipses. I think it's almost inarguably the most exciting part if you can access it. And you can also see what's kind of neat with this view too, is you can see the city lights, which is true that lighting, especially lighting that's set up with light sensors, lights will automatically come on during that point of totality. It will get dark enough. Amongst other things like life around us reacting differently, crickets start chirping, birds think it's time to go to bed, so all sorts of activity there. We are here in Binghamton, New York, And it's probably not visible on your end, but you can see that this is the 95% line. It's a very dim, like gray line. I can mark it out with my mouse. That's the 95% line. We are past that, so we get to around 97% here in Binghamton area, where Kopernik Observatory is located. Our nearest city for totality is Syracuse, New York, which will just be over an hour's drive for us in our area. And that gets us right into totality. At the very edge of this shadow, you only have a few seconds. If you just touch that edge, it's only like a couple seconds of totality. The further and deeper you go into that shadow, the more time you have with totality. So even going into North Syracuse versus South Syracuse, it's the difference of a couple minutes. So if you can, venture deeper into the center of that shadow. This is a brilliant map to explore in general, no matter where you are across the states. So I recommend checking this one out too. You can get a really high resolution copy at nasa.gov. Okay, so there's that. And if we go back to timeanddate.com, you can zoom in on this map as well, so you can get really narrow with this. And I can show you a little closer. This is the path that I'm going to zoom out one more step so we can see the gradient. This is Binghamton, New York here, where we are. We're just a little past this, actually, getting right close to the Pennsylvania border, so over on this side. Not in the path of totality, but you can venture up 81 into Syracuse, and again, the deeper you go into Syracuse, the better, and that's the closest point for us. You can also go more closer to centerline. If you live in Buffalo, stay right where you are, unless there's terrible weather there. You're right on the center line, which is really neat. Rochester's pretty close too. And then up here, up here, I think this is where Watertown is. Yep. Watertown's there near center line. The Adirondacks run through there. So lots of options across our state alone. And you can see, it's a wonderful eclipse because it goes right through the east side of the US for the totality. All right. Which is kind of neat because it was kind of the opposite last time. If I recall, the path of the eclipse went this direction, so taking up more the west coast of totality. Pretty neat. All right, so let's go back. And I see some more viewers in the chat, so happy to have you tuning in to our Eclipse Q&A live stream. We're just covering our first question here, but if you have other questions, feel free to post them and I will follow up with you in just a couple minutes. So yeah, timeanddate.com is great. If you now search for a specific location, like we're going to start with our spot in Binghamton. Well, let's go a little closer. To Vestal, New York. Even Vestal Center, New York is better for us. That gets us closer. And when you do search that way, it will give you your list of eclipses there. So you're just going to come down and click on April 8th. And it gives you an eclipse timeline for your location. So I'm going to back up the clock to the start of the eclipse, just before. Our eclipse starts at around 2:08 p.m. and you can scrub through to get the eclipse started at that 2:08 mark, and then you can get to maximum eclipse, scrubbing through further. So about an hour and 15 minutes later, you get to maximum eclipse for our area, which notice there is still a sliver, so you do not want to be viewing that directly. Even though it's just a sliver of sunlight, it's still too intense, and it will cause damage to your eye if you just stare at that over a period of time. So don't stare at the sun if you are sticking around here or if you're in a location with just partial eclipses. So that's our maximum, 97%, and then it carries on to the end of the eclipse, which wraps up at 6. Sorry, not 6. I read just the 6 here. At 4:34 p.m. So overall, it's just under 2.5 hours of eclipse time for our area. So we got quite a bit of time to enjoy the partial eclipse, and then maximum eclipse is just instantaneous. There's no window there, and then it carries on to the end of the eclipse. So we have, there's the total duration, 2 hours, 26 minutes, gives you your start, maximum, and end time. All right, so now let's do an area where we have total eclipse. I'm going to choose a location that's kind of north Syracuse, which Solvay, New York is a good option for that. And again, it gives you your list of eclipses for that location. We're going to choose total. And the breakdown shows beginning at 2:08 p.m., maximum eclipse at 3:23, with an over 100% coverage. It ends at 4:34 p.m., duration is 2 hours and 26 minutes, and totality lasts for 1 minute and 44 seconds, so nearly 2 minutes for this location. And if we scrub through this, we can see partial eclipse start around the same time as our area, carries on to totality, and there it goes, showing you the solar corona. And then end of totality. So during this time, if you have your solar eclipse glasses for partial eclipse, this window, glasses stay on. Once you get here to totality, glasses come off. You will not see the total solar eclipse with the glasses on. It's safe to view at this point with them off. So take the glasses off so you can see the corona, and then past totality, you have to put your glasses back on. Okay. And then the eclipse ends. So that's in Syracuse, New York. If we looked for a deeper eclipse, we could go to Rochester and take a look at this one. And it shows you closer to center line, you're getting something even beyond 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 40 seconds there. And that goes to show the closer you can get to center line, the better. In New York, we won't have an eclipse that lasts over 4 minutes. Like if we went to Buffalo, that's even closer to center line, and I don't think we'll get to 4 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes, 46 seconds there. And that has to do with the whole perspective shift as the eclipse carries on. Further south during eclipse, closer to the eclipse start time across the states, so somewhere like Texas, like Dallas, Texas, I think is pretty close to center line. Maybe not as close as I thought, but you can see it is getting closer to that 4 minute mark. Maybe we can try McKinney, which is where our other live stream astronomer, Sasha, went for October 14th. Oh, no, that one's not as close either. That one's 3 minutes and 6 seconds. But yeah, there are locations across that do achieve just above 4 minutes, but it's not too much a difference. I'd say if you can get over 3 minutes, you're in good shape. But that's how you can use this tool to explore the eclipses where you are. Oh yeah, it's good to see you, GH Fear. Good to be back on our live stream here. It's been a busy time at Kopernik with the eclipse and just our programming in general. So we have not had as much time to run live streams, at least our observing live streams. But once the eclipse is through, my hope is that we can get a little bit back in shape with those and run more observing live streams in the future. I think the C-Star telescope that we're streaming our live view of the sun with right now, if I switch back to that, I'll switch back to our C-Star view. This telescope is amazing, just from a live streamer's perspective. And for big objects like this, it does such a nice job at keeping the object centered without any input from myself, which even on our 6-inch telescope can be difficult sometimes. If the alignment is off, the tracking will be off too. So we have to keep adjusting that over time. But here, this telescope just handles that aspect for you, so we can keep focused on the conversation instead, which is really amazing. So go back here. Bring this down. Okay. Alrighty, let's go. Well, we can actually keep that C-star view up for a second while I go back to some of the comments here. Yeah, I hope you get the chance at some point, whether it be this one or a future one, JH Fear, to see a solar eclipse. I've only seen partials myself, but if the weather behaves, this will be my first total solar eclipse as we travel to totality with our eclipse science team. So we'll discuss more of that. My hope is we'll also have a presentation from our science team that's being handled under a grant program. So I'm really excited about introducing you to our team. You should be able to meet them on the day of the eclipse when our live stream is going, and maybe after that when they present their experiences on everything. So let's see. So I apologize. I gotta give you a nickname. R3N. I'll just say R3N. That works. So waving from Southern California. So excited about the eclipse. Yes. Yeah. Well, welcome to the stream. So happy to have you joining. And only in Antarctica. Oh, hello again. Going to Niagara Falls on April 8th to view the total eclipse. Canadian side, I got my solar glasses ready. Fantastic. So excited for you. I hope you have a wonderful eclipse up there. You're right in center line, so that will be just amazing for you. All right. And R3N also comments, no more having to adjust stuff. Yes, I know. It's pretty brilliant. We are going to primarily use this telescope, the C-star, with our live stream on April 8th. And just because it's so stable, and we should be able to see the corona with it too, or at least the inner corona. I will be bringing a couple other cameras as well. We'll see about getting a wider capture too that either we can run simultaneously or just switch between. There's also the possibility of just uploading. Well, we will definitely upload a time lapse of some kind after the fact. I'm bringing my own personal camera that we've used for a lot of live streams in the past that I'll be taking that time lapse with. So yeah, we've got some exciting plans for the live stream on the day of the eclipse. I'm trying to manage it so the live stream, at least during totality, is as automated as possible and self-sustaining. So those that want to tune in on the live stream, they can, and they can enjoy it from there. But we probably, during totality, if it's clear and beautiful out, we probably won't be interacting too much at that point. My goal there is to make sure everyone that's with us at that site is just enjoying that moment. During the partial eclipse, it's different because while it does change and it is enjoyable to watch and check in on, it really is kind of about that, waiting for that moment of totality to happen. So we'll look forward to that. Maybe I can bring you guys out to show you the telescope setup. And if you're not familiar with the C-star, it's a good opportunity to just introduce you to that telescope and uh, it might help with like as I share my appreciation for it, it might help you realize like, oh wow, this is pretty awesome. So yeah, let me bring you outside to show you the scope we're using. And again, this will be the same telescope we bring to and travel with on the day of totality. In fact, I can show you the box it comes in. And I'll use my hand for scale, I guess. Or actually, here's a mouse. I'll try and give you something to base the sizing on. So the case it comes in, and it's open. So is that fuzzy? That is fuzzy. Let me turn off the background blur. Where's my camera settings? Camera settings aren't popping up. That's weird. Bear with me a second. It's showing me that there. Just close out of one of these things. Let's try that. I did want the blur. I gotta get rid of it. Ooh, wait, that's a thought. Ooh. Let me switch to this one. Ooh, yeah, can you see that? Oh, that works. Okay, cool. Nice. So actually, I can just switch to my phone's camera and bring you out that way. So what I also need to do is switch to the right microphone as well. This is good practice. So you should be able to hear me through my phone's microphone. And yeah. So this is the case that it comes in. I'll close it up so you can see it's full size. Closed up. That's all it is. And that's what we're using. This is the other box for it. The box it comes in. And just an amazing kit. The telescope looks like that. And I'll bring you outside to show you that full view of it and where it's set up. This will be neat. Oh my gosh, this might be my new favorite streaming setup we have going at the moment. Just from ease of use. I'm trying some new things today, and they're working well, which is sometimes is a rarity on our live streams. So maybe the microphone is a little bit quiet. It looks like it's not super loud, so I apologize for that, but as long as you can hear me, for now it'll be okay. So let's go outside and I'll show you the telescope. So I'll bring you outside. Here's the Science Center, by the way, in case you've never been here and haven't seen it. Walking through. Space Science Lab, that's where we have, go there quick. That's where we have our Friday night presentations. It's kind of like the big auditorium room. So now we'll walk out to the observatory. I hope the connection works okay. It should just be working over Wi-Fi, so we'll try it. And here's the observatory. That's the 14-inch telescope dome there. And Yeah, it looks like we lost connection out there. So, let's see. I'm not sure if you got to look at the domes. Let me switch back to my other camera here. Okay, switch to here. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I spoke too soon. I was so excited to use the new setup. The C-Star and telescope was working fine. It's just the camera situation didn't work out as well as I hoped. I think as soon as I switched over to the other router that's out there, it dropped the camera feed's connection. Let me know if you saw the little C-Star telescope out there, though, and then if not, I'll find a way to go back out. Only in Antarctica says... Actually, let me go back and scrub through the footage before I do that. Oh yeah, it kind of held up. Kind of. It's a little fuzzy. I'm not sure why that is. Yeah, why is that? Oh, I see where it dropped out, so you didn't quite get to see the C-Star. Maybe I'll bring this computer out there and we'll try it. But yeah, only Antarctica says, I'm shopping for a telescope, not sure if Celestron Nexstar line is good or not. I've heard good things about the Nexstar. I've had a couple of people come to Kopernik with those telescopes during our Great Telescope Dust-Off programs, and if I recall, they're altitude azimuth telescopes. Celestron Nexstar. Yeah, that's an altitude azimuth. So they're pretty decent go-to telescopes. It does depend on, of course, what you want to observe. I will say, like, I think almost undoubtedly, if you're just looking for simpler astronomy, like you just want to be able to travel to a site, camp somewhere, break out a reasonably sized telescope that you can travel with, and get it set up really quick, less fuss, then something like the C-Star is certainly the way to go, because it does such a good job at finding objects for you and everything. It really does depend on like what level of astronomy you want to access. Do you just want to freely explore the sky and maybe take pictures too, and you're not expecting to get too involved with astrophotography, then something like the C-Star is great. The only thing is, of course, that it's not visual. So it's kind of like this middle ground between accomplishing what visual astronomy is trying to do, which is giving you a nice live direct view of objects with the assistance of cameras and electronics. So whereas the Celestron Nexstar can be both as well. It can be used for astrophotography. It can be used for visual. And if you want that kind of balance, then that certainly would be a good route to go down. It's not going to be perfect for astrophotography, especially deep sky objects, because it's not going to be able to achieve equatorial tracking. It's going to do altitude azimuth tracking, which will leave some star trails as the field of view shifts. So that's something to consider as well. Altitude azimuths are not great for deep sky object photography, but they are certainly good for planetary, lunar, solar photography, and so forth. Excellent question there. Yeah, so this is an open Q&A session for those that are just tuning into the live stream. We're so happy to have you. And this is part of Kopernik's March to the Eclipse. We're really excited to bring you some eclipse content. And throughout this month and then into April as well. So if you have any questions, eclipse or otherwise, I am here to answer those. We are enjoying a live view from our C-Star S50 telescope. Go back here and see what my camera view looks like. Shift it around a little bit. There we go. Okay. Penny asks, how wide is the actual total eclipse? How wide? Trying to think, like, I guess in terms of the corona, maybe that's, I'm just trying to reason out the answer here. If you're talking about the solar corona during a total solar eclipse, which looks like, let me switch back to this feed here. I'm going to switch from our live feed to our presentation feed so that I can show you this slide. Shows you the different types of eclipses from annular, partial. The annular happened on October 14th of last year. The partial eclipse happens every annular or total. It's always how it starts, or depending on the region. This is all we're going to get here. Is a partial eclipse, although ours is going to be much deeper. It'll just leave behind a sliver of the sun. And then there's the total eclipse where you get to see the solar corona. And if that's what you're curious about, offhand, I haven't experienced a total solar eclipse, so I'm not sure how much of the sky it fills up. From speaking to other experiences, especially if you're closer to center line, the darker it is, the more of the corona you'll see, including potentially the outer corona. I don't think it goes too far, though. The brightest parts of it won't go too far beyond the disk of the moon or the shadow of the moon that you're seeing there. Maybe at most, my guess is like maybe 2 moons out is where you'd see the edge of a corona with your eye. But even then, that might be a little bit much. So my best estimate right now, though, is like 2 moons across. You might see the corona. With a camera view and a long exposure, you'd certainly be able to make out more of the solar corona. That's a really interesting question, and one I hope that gets completely answered for me when I observe the eclipse, and maybe when you observe the total eclipse, if you are able to travel, or if you have the total eclipse in your area on April 8th. That's a really good question. All right, let's switch back. I'm just using my slides here to reference things, but my priority is to show the live view of the sun today. We haven't talked too much about this yet, so let me just touch on what we're seeing from our telescope. In this live view, you are capturing a few sunspots. It's not the most active day I've seen during this peak of the solar cycle, but there's a couple of bigger ones down here. There's a couple here, a couple here. It's kind of like 2, 2, and 2, with the largest one being this one here, which is kind of edge on as well. Like, it's getting close to the edge of our view of the sun. And if you think about this like a globe, these are going to appear smaller when they're on the edge versus when they're more face on towards the center. So that's pretty cool too. Some texturing around the sunspot as well if you look carefully. Down at this one, I don't see the same effect with these. And I think that's all the sunspots. I'm double checking. I think there's one up here too, a very small one. No, when I say very small though, I mean that one's about the size of the moon. This one over here is about the size of Earth. So small for the sun, but not small for our moon and Earth. Okay. And other questions. Okay, Penny says they live in Indiana. We can take a look and see what your eclipse will look like in Indiana. I'm not sure if you have a town you'd like to give me or a city in the area that's nearby. I can get a little more specific too, but I can just generalize to Indiana and show you the eclipse map. Again, I have to switch over to this view, and we'll go to timeanddate.com that we used earlier, and we can put in Indiana. And the April 8th eclipse in Indiana. So let's see, how's it generalizing? Oh, that's pretty cool. When you just search a state, it gives you a nice breakdown. Pretty cool. So yeah, is there a town you'd like me to explore in this region? In Indiana? That way I can give you a good idea of where totality is versus where your partial eclipse is. It fills in a good amount of the state, which is pretty neat. Definitely more so than New York being a larger state. So yeah, you don't have to travel too much regardless of where you end up. And wherever you live there. So yeah, let's see. I'm gonna take a look at the chat. Charleston. Okay, let's do a search for Charleston, Indiana. Indiana. Charleston Crossing? That's what's coming up here. I can put that in. Anyway, let's try again. Charleston. Or Charlestown. Oh, okay. Charlestown, Indiana. There it is. Okay. All right, so if we click April 8th, what's your maximum eclipse? Oh my gosh, you are so close. That's amazing. You're like right on the edge. All right, let's take a look at your eclipse map and see. Oh my goodness. Yeah, just outside of Louisville. Okay, so you do not have to travel very far at all to get to your total solar eclipse. So you're here. If you just travel a little bit north towards Indianapolis, but you don't even have to go that far. You can. That's pretty close to center line, but you don't even have, I would say try and get into this point right in here. Where's that? Like Seymour or Columbus. Anywhere there will get you deep enough into the total solar eclipse that you'll have at least a couple minutes to observe it. So let me show you what your eclipse looks like right where you are, and then I'll jump to, let's just say Seymour. And we'll try that one. So let's go back. Partial eclipse begins, maximum eclipse. Okay, so this is in Charlestown. This is your eclipse. Partial eclipse starts at 1:49 p.m. for you. Maximum eclipse, which is this view, which is incredible. It's where you are. It's even a deeper eclipse than here in Vestal, New York, where Kopernik is located. So we're a 97%. You are a 99%. And so you just end up with this tiny little sliver And if we continue on to the end of the eclipse, that ends at 4:23. So that's Charlestown. If we go to Seymour, Indiana, this is where you get total eclipse. So if we look at the breakdown here, it tells you here you get 3 minutes, 8 seconds in Seymour of totality, which is really good. Anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes, that's perfect. It gives you enough time to fight any partly cloudy sky. The more totality you get, the better, of course. It gives you a greater chance of seeing it if it is partly cloudy that day. So partial eclipse begins in Seymour at 1:49 p.m., continues on until you get totality at 3:06 p.m. Totality lasts for those 3 minutes to 3:09 p.m. And then the partial eclipse ends at Seymour at 4:23 p.m. So yeah, that's exciting. It can't be that short of it's a pretty short hop, I think, from where you are to this town, Seymour. So try and travel, or if hotels are still available, jump on that. The nice thing is, like, for totality, it only lasts 3 minutes anyways. So you go and witness totality, and if you want, you can stick around for the partial eclipse, or you can hop back home. It's up to you. The partial eclipse is enjoyable, but totality is where the real show is. So I'm so excited for you. Very good. All right, let me go back to our live view, and I'll engage with some other questions. Okay, let's see. Okay, Lisa asks, do eclipse glasses lose their potency over the years? If they're not well stored, there is a chance that they will degrade. If they're like stored in a place that sees a lot of temperature changes, maybe a lot of changes in humidity, those are all instances, especially since most eclipse glasses are made out of cardboard or paper, they will be sensitive to that. And the biggest thing is you just want to check the filters themselves. You want to check for scratches, you want to check for warping, and any punctures or holes in the lenses. Yeah, so I'm just double checking here. From what I'm seeing, yeah, as long as they're well stored, you can reuse them indefinitely. Because I think the filters themselves are usually some kind of synthetic or plasticized material, which holds up really well over time. It's just a matter of making sure that they're stored in a safe place. So, for example, we had solar eclipse glasses for the 2017 eclipse. We didn't use them all from our supply. So the ones that we have left over, those ones we kept in a nice area that stays dried. It's climate controlled throughout the years, and they're in perfect condition. So we can use them again for this eclipse. So yeah, if you just double check for scratches, for holes, for warping, and if you're good there, then your glasses are safe to use again. All right. If you are in need of eclipse glasses, we are shipping our Kopernik glasses in the United States to anywhere in the US. So the link for those is in the video description if you still need glasses. All right. Let me see. Yeah, I can post it in the chat. I'll just post it under... I'll post the timeanddate.com website and where you can search for eclipses. Then you can bounce around to wherever you like. I can show you another tool as well that's fun to explore. Not just eclipses, but the sky in general. But let's do this. I'm going to post the link, just the general link, but then that way anyone can use it. And you just have to put in your location that you want to explore. Paste. Okay, so that link is in the chat. Oh yeah, R3N has a comment saying, I've been to many eclipses in my lifetime. I find the weird shadows before and after totality to be fascinating. Yes, I've only experienced partial eclipses to this point. The ones I have seen were pretty deep. We have 2 live streams that we have 1 live stream. No, 2. No, we do have 2 now. Yeah, we have the one from the annular eclipse in October 14th of 2023, so just last year. And that one was recorded from Texas with one of our educators and live stream astronomers, Sasha. She went down to McKinney, Texas, and got to experience the partial solar eclipse there, which was pretty deep. And then I did get to see the 2017 one, but that was before we started live streaming here. That one was also pretty significant. And then there's one from a live stream from June, I think it was June 10th or 11th of 2021, of a partial solar eclipse as well. And in each of those, at least the 2 I experienced of that batch, yeah, the lighting, the shadows were so fascinating. If you look carefully, you'll see why. I think just about everyone will almost intuitively recognize something's off during a significant partial eclipse. But if you look carefully, the things you want to observe are shadows and how crisp the shadows are during a like 90+% solar eclipse, because they get very crisp. They get very sharp. You can see almost a distinct edge. Rather than on a regular sunny day, you'd have some fuzziness around your shadows. This gives you a very crisp image. So that's very interesting to look at as well. And the reason for that is because the sun ends up acting more like a point source during a partial solar eclipse compared to a source that's emitting light from multiple angles. The sun is a globe in the sky, so you are getting light from multiple directions touching down on Earth. And while the shadows will still look sharp because it is a fairly small object in our sky, they will have a fuzziness around them compared to a solar eclipse that sharpens the shadows a lot. So that's another fun thing to observe during the eclipse. All right, let me jump on here. Yeah, very, very neat, very ethereal lighting. And then if you can get to totality, it's all the better. Okay. So I'll be on for another few minutes. I wonder how close the sun is to the trees at this point. Oh, well, actually, yeah, I have to get used to the timing still, because we just adjusted our clocks for daylight savings, and that means it will be we'll have some more daylight to work with today. So that's good. Never mind. There's probably not that close to the trees yet. I can also just leave this running, potentially for a little bit. But for now, I'm still here to answer any questions as people tune into the live stream. If there is anyone new here, we are viewing a live video of the sun here at Kopernik through our C-STAR telescope. Oh, actually, nope, that's not what I want to do. Let me duplicate this one. There we go. We have some context now for this image. Okay. Yeah, I always like to try to remember to add text. I also had this, I'm not sure if there's anyone new tuning into the stream since I've shown this, but I will show you, if we want a little preview of the eclipse, I have this moon model I can bring in. So let me try that. Oh, hang on, I'm moving my entire stream. Okay, so yeah, here we go. Preview of the eclipse. Just modeling it. So the moon comes in, sweeps across the sun, and if you're in locations of totality, boom. And what's kind of fun about this is there's some hazing around the solar filter there from the sun, so that it kind of looks like when you do this, you get a corona preview as well. But of course, the corona isn't going to be that color. It is going to be white in color. And then, oh my gosh, as the camera shifts too, it's like, oh, the sun's reemerging as the wind blows the scope around a little. But that's just a fun thing to help us model the eclipse. Okay. So there's some sunspot activity on the sun. One thing we also are gonna have to try, and it won't work with this telescope, but we do have an H-alpha filter for the 6-inch that I would like to maybe set up for one of these Q&A sessions. If we do a couple more before the eclipse, Maybe we can do some H-alpha observing so we can see some prominences and flaring. That might be a worthwhile stream too. Lots of focus on the sun at the moment, but after the eclipse, we will move back into some night sky observing with our Night Sky Live programs. Let me see here. All right. Uh-oh. Did we lose our view? We did. Why is that? Let's try and connect back to it. Okay, we got connected. And we're centered. And okay, yeah. So yeah, occasionally we lose connection to the scope, but it's so easy to get it back online that I'm not too worried about that. As long as I can get it back reasonably quickly and I'm on top of it, then I'm not bothered. Oh, thanks, Lisa. Thanks for your supporting Kopernik, and yeah, we hope you enjoy the eclipse with those classes, and also, yeah, you mentioned the ones that you had before, so you can always share with a friend as well. It's good to have backups. Another option too is you can use, if you're worried about the older pair as well, it should work fine with your smartphone. So you can use your smartphone to take pictures of the eclipse. It doesn't work super well, nor is it all that safe for your sensor on your phone to observe like for over a long period of time. So you might burn the sensor a little bit if you fix it on the sun for too long. And you won't get that great of a picture either because it can't get the exposure settings right for that bright object. So what you can do instead is you can take your old pair of solar eclipse glasses and put them in front of the camera lenses and take a picture that way, and you will end up with a pretty nice view of the eclipse. It'll be a small view, but if you have like a telephoto lens, if you have like lens arrays like this one, then you can choose the largest magnification lens and use that to get a pretty nice capture. So there's always a good opportunity to use older glasses for that. Because while you might be concerned for their quality and their condition for human use, for cameras, at least smartphone cameras, you don't have to worry about it as much. For larger cameras, it's more, you probably want something more advanced than a pair of solar eclipse glasses. So something like a mirrorless camera, you would want to get a proper solar filter for and fitted for it. I've seen some makeshift designs where you block off the area around the intake of the lens, and then you kind of tape it off and have the solar filter just mapped onto it. I find that a little risky though, especially if your camera's expensive. So probably the better route is to just get a proper solar filter. They're not too bad in price. Usually you can get them for below $100. And you're looking for, with those filters, you're looking for ND 100,000 for their rating to make it safe enough to take images with it with larger sensors and cameras. So yeah, thanks, Lisa. Thanks for picking up a pair of our glasses. We usually ship them out on Mondays. Just that the way we don't have a person like dedicated to doing it every day, but we'll get them out to you well before the eclipse. So no worries there. So yeah, just looking ahead to our programs for March to the eclipse, it is a whole slate of events here at Kopernik. And for this week, this Friday at 8 p.m., we will have Seth McGowan, who's the president of the Adirondack Sky Center and Observatory, and he will be talking about the total solar eclipse that will be happening in Tupper Lake, where that sky center is. So it'll be a nice way to get a sense of how they're preparing, what they're doing, and also just like the history of eclipses in that area. So we can look forward to that this Friday. Next Friday, we won't have a live stream, but because we're going to do a family event here for that Friday night public program. So if you're local, feel free to come up to that. My hope is I'll be able to get another live stream out like this for that week so that we can interact with you here on YouTube. And then we have 2 more presentations after that. There's going to be one on the eclipse among spring skies and what will be visible during the total solar eclipse in that darkened sky, as well as just what's out in the night sky this time of year. And then the following one is just an eclipse outlook, just to give you the kind of final, as final of a word as possible for the weather and just the latest updates on state traffic patterns, like what they're expecting. Some states may move toward like kind of using state of emergency protocols to make sure travel is as safe as possible if people are traveling, or they may not suggest travel in certain locations. Those are things to watch for too if your goal is to go out somewhere during totality. Think about when you might want to travel. That can be, there's certainly safety concerns with that, and it's been seen with past eclipses. The roads do get piled up quite a bit. So be aware of that if you have to travel any great distance. Keep that in mind. And if you reserved hotels and campsites or what have you beforehand, and you're leaving like a few days before, coming back a few days after, you're in good shape there. It's just if you're traveling the day of, there will be challenges with that. All right, we're going to probably start winding things down a little bit. I may leave the view that we have here of the sun from Kopernik C-Star up for a little while with the ambient music, because I know a lot of people like that, and I do too. So there's a couple things I have to take care of work-wise here. But if you have any final questions, I'll wait a minute to see if any of those come through, and otherwise we'll move on to the next thing. Oh yeah, I did see your order come through, Lisa, so you are all set there. And yeah, thank you, Penny, for tuning in. You're welcome, R3N. Thanks for watching today. I was gonna say tonight because so often we're doing nighttime live streams, but nope, we're doing daytime today. All right, so yeah, thanks everyone. I am gonna leave the stream up just on the live view of the sun for a little while longer with the ambient music, so you can leave it on the background, you can tune out, whatever you'd like to do there, but I'll leave the live view of the sun on for a little longer. And thanks so much for tuning in. We will, we will jump into some other March to the Eclipse programs leading into the Fridays this month, and look out for those streams. Look out for another future Q&A stream. Maybe we'll get the H alpha filter going on the 6-inch scope and do some imaging that way too, so we can see some flares. So look forward to that as well. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.